Hey guys, it is Bible study day and we're going to be continuing in the book of Esther, and I'm going to start with chapter 2. I know I've already talked some about it with the last one, but I just really feel like I want to go through chapter by chapter. Now that does not mean we're going to do one chapter each video. That means we're going to see how far we can get each time until we're done with the book. There's 10 chapters in Esther, and I want to, do it justice, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I've changed to AM. That doesn't mean you can't watch my videos in the evening. You can watch my videos whenever you want. But the majority voted that AM was better for them. The majority of the people who actually voted on the poll. So, I said whatever the majority was, that's what I was going to do. For me, it doesn't make a difference. I can do it either time. It does not make a difference at all. So, I hope that's okay. I hope nobody is upset about it. My video is still going to be there if you can't watch it in the morning. You can still watch it in the evening. It's still going to be there. As long as you're subscribed, it'll be on your subscription feed. So, there's that. So, we're going to be starting with, like I said, the chapter 2 in Esther. And we know that Queen Vashti she's been kicked out. She's gone. She's done. And because she did not do as she should with the king. Whenever he called upon her, she refused. And so now we're going to go on to chapter 2. And like I said, I know I did go over this a little bit, so I may go a little bit faster with this part. I don't know yet. But I feel like this is what I want to do right now, and I don't know why. So let's go. Alright, chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus subsided, he remembered Vashti, what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's servants who attended him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather all the beautiful young virgins of Shushan, however you say that, I don't know how it came out the first time, the citadel into the women's quarters under the custody of Haggai, the king's eunuch, custodian of the women." Alright, so we know that, and they're going to let the beauty preparations be given to them. So, we know that the king has been advised to look for a new wife. Okay, and then, so we're going to go on. Let's see, where was I at? Then let the young women who please, young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This thing pleased the king, and he did so. In Shushan, the citadel, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. Kish had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captives who had been captured with Jeconiah. Y'all, sometimes whenever a word has multiple syllables and it's on one line and then it goes down to the next, I have problems reading it. I don't know why, even though I knew it was right the first time, but there's that. It's Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And Mordecai had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman was lovely and beautiful. When her father and mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. So it was when the king's command and decree were heard, and when many young women were gathered at Shushan, the citadel, under the custody of Haggai, that Esther also was taken to the king's palace, into the care of Haggai, the custodian of women. Now the young woman pleased him, and she obtained his favor. So he readily gave beauty preparations to her, because besides her allowance, which we talked about that, she got extra. Then 7 choice maidservants were provided for her from the king's palace, and he moved her and her maidservants to the best place in the house of the women. Esther had not revealed her people or family, for Mordecai had charged her not to reveal it, and every day Mordecai paced in front of the court of the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare and what was happening to her. Each young woman's turn came to the going to the king Ahasuerus after she had completed 12 months preparation according to the regulations for the women. For thus were the days of the preparation apportioned: 6 months with oil and myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes and preparations for beautifying women. Thus prepared, each young woman went to the king, and she was given whatever she desired to take with her from the women's quarters to the king's palace. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch who kept the concubines. She would not go in to the king again unless the king delighted in her and called for her by name. So, the way it sounds to me is, until the king chose you, you were a concubine, I guess. Is that what it means? I'm not sure. Which sounds really bad to me. Let's see. According to Greek sources, the royal concubines were expected to entertain the king in various ways throughout the night, ready to provide sexual companionship when requested. We can assume that the women were given items that would help them with their diversions, including musical instruments, harps and flutes, musicians to accompany their singing, and perhaps other tools of entertainment. Okay. I wouldn't want to be that. Where was I at? Now when it's chapter 2, verse 15. Now when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter to go in to the king, she requested nothing but what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the custodian of women, advised. I always thought Mordecai was Esther's uncle. That's not right. Why am I just now reading this and seeing it? And when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai. So it's Mordecai and Esther are cousins, not uncle and niece. That doesn't mean Mordecai's not older because he took her as his daughter. Like, he has to be older, but so they're not uncle and niece. Let me just look that up. Okay. I would just say it, like talk to the phone, but I'm not going to do it because it might set off y'all's. So let me type that in real quick. Was Mordecai, hold on, I can do that. Esther's cousin or uncle. Somebody else looked that up too, y'all. What's Esther's relationship with Mordecai? They're first cousins. Why have I just now seen that? Why is it all these years I've heard other people say it's her uncle? It's not her uncle, it's her cousin. They're cousins. That's what it says in the Bible too. But my brain is not braining. I gotta talk to Jeff whenever he gets home and tell him my new discovery. We do that sometimes whenever I find something, or he hears about something on the radio, or they talk about something at work. We're like, well, did you know something we find out about the Bible that we never did know? I know it doesn't really matter. They're kinfolk. We know that. He took her in. He's taking care of her. But they're cousins. Why was I always told it was her uncle? Okay, let's keep going. Doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Not in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, let's go ahead. Okay, she had requested nothing but what the custodian of women advised, and Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins. So he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast, the feast of Esther, for all his officials and servants, and he proclaimed a holiday in the provinces and gave gifts according to the generosity of a king. So, hopefully we learned something today. I'm not done yet. But, okay, please don't start going off and going crazy. Whenever a king, from what I understand, whenever a king declared a holiday, that meant it was a day of rest. So, I guess that's what he was doing. Alright, then Mordecai discovers a plot. Okay, we already talked about that, where that the Mordecai had found out there was a plot that, against the king, and, he let the people know that at the king's gate that Bithgan and Teresh were doing what they were doing, and so they were hanged. Okay, so we're going to skip over that part. We're going to go on to chapter 3. Alright, so what I learned today from that one part was they weren't uncle and niece, they were cousins. Why have I always heard that they were uncle and niece? So many times whenever you hear things, people telling stories from the Bible, it gets mixed up, and whenever you read it for yourself, you find out different things. Make sure you read for yourself. Don't even listen to me as much, you know. You can listen to me, but search for yourself. So, chapter 3. After these things, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes who were with him, and all the king's servants who were within the king's gates bowed and paid homage to Haman, for so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or pay homage. Then the king's servants who were within the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress the king's command?" Now it happened, when they spoke to him daily, he would not listen to them, that they told it to Haman to see whether Mordecai's words would stand. For Mordecai had told them that he was a Jew. So, Esther had not told that she was a Jew. She was advised, don't do that. But now, Mordecai has told that he's a Jew, and that's why he can't bow. Okay? When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay homage, Haman was filled with wrath. But he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. In the 1st month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast that is, the lot, before Haman to determine the day and the month until it fell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from all other peoples, and they do not keep the king's laws. Therefore it is not fitting for the king to let them remain. If it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work, to bring it into the king's treasuries." So the king took the signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, "The money and the people are given to you to do with them as it seems good to you." So Haman's an evil, evil man. He wants to kill all the Jews, not just Mordecai, because he doesn't like their rules. He doesn't like their laws. He doesn't like that they don't worship anyone but God. Wow, phone. Thanks so much for being so weird. It's the alarm for the front door. Actually, I might need to check it. But there's nobody there, but sometimes the flowers make things happen. Makes it go off. Yep, there's nothing there. So, okay. So, then the king's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and the decree was written according to all that Haman commanded, to the king's satraps, to the governors that were over each province, to the officials of all people, and to every province according to the script, and to every people in their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus it was written and sealed with the king's signet ring. And the letters were sent by couriers into the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. So Haman wanted them all killed. Everybody. Not just the men, not just the women, not just the grandparents, not just the aunts and uncles, not just the children, but everybody wiped out. He wanted the whole bunch gone on a certain day. And he wanted it to be done, and he was going to make sure that everybody was paid generously for this. So he sent it out everywhere. And also the signet ring that the king gave him is like a signature. If that was like a wax seal, you can do a wax seal with the with it, and if it is on there, if it's sealed by that was the king's seal. So it meant it was his choice. So where are we at? A copy of the document was issued by law in every I think I said that. The couriers went out, hastened the king's command, and the decree was proclaimed in Shushan the citadel. So the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed. So that was chapter 3. So Haman has his plot at hand, just because he hates hates Mordecai. Sorry. Just because of this one person's bitterness and hate, they want to destroy a whole people. It's ridiculous. So, then Esther in chapter 4, and I think this is the last one I'm going to do, is chapter 4. When Mordecai learned that all had happened, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the midst of the city. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry. We talked about that. He went as far as in front of the king's gate, for no one might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province where the king's command and decree arrived, there was great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So they were all mourning. Okay, so I had something wrong. I don't know if I said it last week, but I've had this wrong, I know, in my mind for years. I was thinking it was all the Jews, period. This is just the Jews in the king's province, his area. It wouldn't have been the whole entire, every Jewish person there is. At least, I don't think it would have been. I'm trying to fix this lighting because it's messed up. I could be wrong about that too now. But it was the ones in this area, I think. Maybe all the Jews were in the same area. I'm not sure. But after reading this, I have read the whole Bible several times, y'all. I have studied the book of Esther, but there's things that I'm seeing that I have not seen before. But Haman's decree was the ones in this certain area were to be killed. So I don't know if all the Jews would have been destroyed. I don't know where I got that from. Maybe we'll get that like later. Maybe some of you can tell me where I got that from. Not sure. But like I said, we're going to go through chapter 4 today. Let's go ahead and keep going. So Esther's maids and eunuchs came and told her, and the queen was deeply distressed. Then she sent garments to clothe Mordecai and take his sackcloth away from him, but he would not accept them. Then Esther told Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai to learn what and why this was. She wanted to know, why are you mourning? What is wrong with you? Who is passed? Because usually, whenever they were in sackcloth and ashes, there was a mourning happening. Mordecai was mourning his people, I'm pretty sure, is what was happening. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square that was in front of the king's gate, and Mordecai told him all that had happened to him and the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasuries to destroy the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the written decree for their destruction, which was given at Shushan, that he might show it to Esther and explain it to her, and that he might command her to go to the king and make supplication to him and plead before him for her people. So Hathach returned and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him the command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and all the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law: put all to death except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, that he may live. So if she went into the king without his permission, she's risking her life. And I mean, the king is the greatest person in the land. He can do whatever he wants, and nobody can say anything about anything he does. He can make any rules or regulations he wants. And that was one of his rules. Yet I myself have not been called to go to the king for 30 days. So for 30 days, she had not been called by the king. So they told Mordecai Esther's words, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, "Do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish." So her lineage would be gone. Yet, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, "Go, gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther commanded him. So Esther has asked him to go pray, go fast, go seek the Lord on my behalf. I will go into the king, and if he kills me, he kills me. If I die, I die. Because my people is worth the risk. My lineage is worth the risk. Because she was the last in her father's line. So, I kind of want to go on. But I think I'm going to stop. There's 5 more chapters. 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 6 more chapters. I knew my brain was not braining. But I didn't know it wasn't braining this much. So, chapter 10 is... Okay. My camera quit because it's been over 20 minutes. But chapter 10 is super tiny. You can barely even say it's a whole chapter because it's like a paragraph. A little bit more than that, but next week we'll pick up with chapter 5. I did learn a couple things from this. At least I think I did. And it's that God will put us in places that we don't even know why we're there. We don't understand what is happening. I'm going to write myself a note. write myself a note what I need to start with next time. But God will put us in the place where we need to be. And He'll put us with the people we need to be with. The eunuch that first took care of Esther, he saw who she was and what she was. Not that she was a Jewess is what it was to be called. Not that she was any better, but that she had a demeanor that was different. She had a character that was different. She wasn't selfish. That's what I understand from this, is she's not a selfish person. And I'm pretty sure that whenever she agreed to go into the king, in the last chapter we read, that she had fear, but she's not going to let fear stop her from doing what God's will is. And I do believe if we are in God's will, He will help us conquer the fear we have, and whatever it is. We just have to make sure we are paying attention to what He wants. So, with that being said, I'm going to go. Like I said, I did get busy, and I did not get to do this the way I wanted to do it. Maybe with the next book, or next whatever we decide to do, next chapter in the Bible, or next book in the Bible, I will do it a little bit differently and just read a little bit each day and record it. I don't know how I'm going to do, but Esther, I believe we'll do like this, and it'll be, fine. But there are many things that we can get from the book of Esther. We can get resilience. We can get that it's okay to mourn. We can get that it's okay to be brave. We can get that there are evil people in this world that will try to go after a whole entire group of people, and we have to make sure that we are brave enough to stand up for them at any time whenever they need it. We need to show love, we need to show compassion, and we need to know that we are in the place where we're at for such a time as this. For whatever time it is, there's a purpose in our lives, and Esther's purpose, we'll find out more of what it is soon. But I hope this was okay. I hope this was a good start to the study, or continuance to the study. It's a little bit different than what I normally do, I think. But I feel like I wanted to just read this to you guys. And I don't know why, but it just felt like what I needed to do. And reading it actually made me see something that I had not seen before. Like this, like reading it out loud. Have you ever read something out loud and you get more from it? I have heard some people that they read their Bible out loud even when they're by themselves, because hearing their own voice read it, it helps them. Maybe I need to start doing that sometimes. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I do appreciate it. And if you have a prayer request, you can leave that down below. Leave me a comment, let me know how you're doing, because I really do want to know. And remember, don't take any wooden nickels, and be sweet.